Today on What It's Like, 1936 Pierce Arrow 4-door 7-passenger sedan with the V12. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. This channel, we cover the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, brands that bit to dust before I was even a twinkle in my father's eye. I'm a millennial, and I'm proof that the younger generations totally dig this stuff. And we tend to do cars that get lost to time, dive in deep with specs, take the tour, and most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This may come as a surprise to you, but Pierce Arrow was way more than a luxury car brand founded in 1865 as the Heinz, Pierce, and Munshiner Company. It was best known for delicate gilded bird cages, refrigerators, and other household goods. In 1872, George Norman Pierce bought the other two out and renamed the company the George and Pierce Company. 1890, Pierce would start selling bicycles, which many people back in that time period thought it was just a fad. But by 1892, Pierce offered 8 different models, 4 of which were tricycles. 30-inch men's bike in 1892 sold for $85, which is equivalent to $2,810.04 in the year 2023. In 1900, Pierce offered shaft drive on its bikes. The bike company would take on the name Pierce Cycles, which would be run by George's son, Percy, and broke off as its own separate company in 1906. And then they ventured into motorcycles, and they produced bikes from 1890 to 1918. They were sold to Emblem, which would sell the Pierce line of bike until 1940. They produced motorcycles from 1901 to 1914 and stopped for a number of reasons. One of the main reasons was the Model T was only $500, and there was a lot of fierce competition entering that segment around that time period, and they just couldn't compete at the price point that their motorcycles had to sell at. 1908, Pierce Motor Company was renamed to Pierce Arrow Motor Car Company. In 1912, Hubert M. Dawley joined Pierce Arrow and is responsible for designing almost every model built at Pierce Arrow until 1938. With the exception of the coast-built cars, of course, you have to remember that back in this time period, it was possible to just buy the chassis, engine, and drivetrain and have a custom body made by any coach builder of your choice. Studebaker bought Pierce Arrow in 1928. Unfortunately, they were unable to hold on to Pierce Arrow because they faced financial difficulties of their own. 1933, they sold Pierce Arrow to a group of investors for $1 million. Unfortunately, the group of investors were unable to weather the effects of the Great Depression and closed their doors in 1938. Pierce Arrow was one of the 3 Ps. Peerless and Packard are the other 2. Peerless was the first to go bankrupt in 1931. Pierce Arrow followed suit in 1938. Packard was able to last until 1959, with 1958 being the last model year. Pierce Arrow in 1936 started to see the writing on the wall, so to speak, and they needed a way to make more money, but they wasn't going to offer a lesser model like Packard did. Packard offered the 115, 120 series in 1937, which extended the life of their brand, but it tarnished their image. The elite Packard enthusiasts absolutely hate the 115 and the 120 series because they were basement Packards. Pierce Arrow did not go down that route. Instead, they went down the trailer route. They started building trailers in the summer of 1936, and they only produced them until November of the same year. They were offered in 3 models. The Model A was a 19-foot model, the Model B was a 16-foot 6-inch model, and the Model C is the rarest of the 3 13-foot 7 inches model. All the trailers were made of metal, had Bendix brakes. This was camping in style. Just look at how quaint these are. I saw as little as a production number of 450 travel trailers being built. The 13-foot Model C is the rarest, with only 74 ever made. 1936 Pierce Arrow could be had in 2 different models, the 8 and the 12. The 12 could be had as a coupe, country club roadster, club sedan, club berlin, 7-passenger sedan, metro town car, convertible sedan, enclosed driver limo, or Like I said, they would build you whatever you want. Possibilities are endless. 1936 saw a freshly designed Pierce Arrow. It was the last new design the company would ever see. 36 Pierce Arrow saw no less than 30 improvements. More power from a bigger V12, vacuum-assisted brakes, which was an industry first, standard overdrive with freewheeling, just to name a few. 35 on the top, 36 on the bottom, starting in the front. The 36 is softer and rounder, and I'm not saying the 35 isn't, but the 36 doesn't have any sharp edges anywhere. Everything is rounded. The horns are exposed on the 35. The horns are found under the hood on the 36. The grille is more slender on the 36, as well as it has more of an angle to it. The front bumpers have been revised. Side profile, the fenders, both front and rear, are different. Once again, look at how rounded everything is on the 36 compared to the 35. Rear, they added an external trunk. The 35 has some sort of compartment, but they also have a rack for the trunk. Notice the brake light situation and what looks to be turn signals. In the comment section, is that what that is? Is that a turn signal? Because I was always under the impression that turn signals didn't become a thing on American cars until Buick did it in 1939. Both the 35 and 36 have that questionable light. The gas filler tank is on the same side. The 35 picture is just mirrored so that they are in the same angle, so it's easier to compare. Moving to the dash region, the dash is completely different. The 35 looks like a Packard dash, and it has his and her glove boxes, which the 36 only has a single glove box. Which one do you like better in the comment section below? Special thanks to the Pierce Arrow Society for giving me a lot of this information. If you have one of these cars, look them up. They have a Facebook account, Facebook page. I will link all of that information in the description because they are an excellent source for information. Let's talk specs. 220 inches long to the bumpers. So if your car has bumpers on it, it's going to be a little bit longer than this. 74 inches wide. It rides a wheelbase of 174 inches. It weighs 6,380 pounds. Price, $4,795, which is like, yeah, I'll totally sign up for that until you see that it equivalates to $103,778.98 in the year 2023. But get this, it's still less than a 1973 Mercedes 450 SL. For that price in 2023, you could buy a Mercedes EQS for roughly the same money. All right, moving on to engines. Only one engine available, 462 cubic inch displacement, flathead 80-degree V12, 7.6 liters. It makes 185 horsepower at 3,400 RPM. With a compression of 6.4 to 1, it features 7 main bearings. Has a 3-speed manual with overdrive attached to it. Let's talk styling. There is a lot going on. Notice these headlights are part of the fender itself. They protrude outward from the fenders. You got somebody put aftermarket turn signals on there. Notice this grille isn't straight, it's angular. And it almost looks like it's thermostatically controlled. It looks like it opens to allow air in and closes whenever there's enough air to let air not drag the car down. Look at these bumpers. Look at all this going on here. Notice it dips down just a wee bit. It's got side mounts where the side mirrors are mounted. Coming to the other side, it doesn't have another mirror, but I'm sure you could get one if you wanted to. These open if you wanted it to have that open look. Look at this line here. We have to talk about the hood ornament. How cool is that? Little archer dude shooting his little arrow. I mean, look at how intricate that is. Also, look at the little pad that he is on. It's almost a heart shape. It looks like a spade. Actually, it looks like a spear. Look at how that comes down. Point. He's shooting an arrow on a spear. This one's got a cowl vent. Look at how slender this windshield is in reference to how big the car is. The car is absolutely huge. It's parked next to this 40 DeSoto. The 40 DeSoto looks small in comparison to how absolutely massive this car is. Look at this line here. Notice the pinstriping inside. Notice it gets wider as it comes back, and then it goes up. This car does not have drip rails. It just has an edge. It has a lot of body lines. This is like a body protrusion. See all these lines? Gas is right here on the left-hand side, driver's side. Look at these tail lights. Check out the rear bumper situation. Getting into the trunk, there's two handles. Only one of them has a keyhole on it. Look at that. They're two different handles. This trunk isn't as big as I would think it would be for the size of the car, but the trunk lid is absolutely heavy. It's really, really heavy trunk lid. Coming to the door situation, look at these handles. These handles look very Packard-esque. But it could be Peerless or Pierce Arrow. It's got the suicide or cabinet or coach doors, as they called them. So just notice how deep this door goes. Just for reference, it's a pretty deep door. It's got this wood inlay. Door handle to get out, window crank for the big window, and it operates like that. And there's how thick it is. Crank vent window. Here's what the interior looks like. Look how far back that rear seat sits. All right, let's take a gander at this pedal box. Emergency brake right there, or handbrake. That looks like overdrive, but I could be wrong. Clutch, brake, gas pedal. In between the clutch and the brake is the high beam dimmer switch. Here's what over the hood impression looks like. Here's what first person over the hood looks like. Here is what under the steering wheel situation's like. Enough space to put my hand in between my lap and the steering wheel. On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left and moving right. Speedometer with odometer and tripometer inside of it. In the center of the two gauge pods are two pilot lights. Gasoline gauge, oil pressure, amp meter, coolant temperature, ashtray at the top. I'm taking a shot in the dark. I'm generally able to find an owner's manual. I couldn't find one on this car. L, I think, is for the headlights. S is for starter. There is a light directly below the ashtray. Hand throttle, wipers, lighter, radio, and center with the radio controls off to the side there, the two little black knobs. The bottom, I have no idea what that's for. Key and clock. Up above, notice the sun visors aren't in the normal position. They sit on the side, and you pull them out of this little hole here, and then you put it here, and then it goes up inside this hole, and that's how it mounts. How cool is that? This one is missing the sun visor on this side. And then it just tucks up there. It could be housed anywhere. It could be housed on this side, or you could put it over here. That's really cool. I never saw a sun visor like that where you could have it mounted on either side. Can't tell from the video, but my eyes are seeing this window or windshield looks to be tinted. Look at that view. What a view that is. Rear view mirror. Up here, this looks like a speaker for the radio. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. This glove box is locked. Bummer, we're not going to be able to do the glove box test. So this is what the rear door looks like. You can see it's absolutely huge. It's got curtains in the back. The very back quarter windows, they go down. Ashtray. Nice footrest. This is what the door panel looks like. It's got the handle to get out, window crank for the big window. No armrest though. Here's what the front looks like from the back. Let's take a real quick gander at the greenhouse and or pillar to glass ratio. This is what visibility looks like out the rear from the back seat. Here's what the seat profile looks like. It's reclined. It's actually a really comfortable place back here. I'm 6'2", and my feet, if I'm sitting like this, don't even hit the back of the jump seats. Yes, this has jump seats, and we'll show how that all works here in a minute. This is what I look like sitting in the rear seat. I got tons of headroom. This is the most comfortable classic car that I've ever been in. Got curtains on the side here, a nice handle to hold on to. They don't go down, they're vent windows, they open vent style. There's also a nice reading light back here, right over here. Ashtray as well as cigarette lighter. Nice armrest, as well as center armrest, which can fold right back up into the seat like that. There's also a dome light and another reading light over there. Everything that is found on the driver's side is also found on the passenger side. There is a footrest for your feet. Look at how this is wood. Just the attention to detail on this car is incredible. This one has a rear clock so that people in the back can tell what time it is. So here's what the jump seats look like, and they pull right up out of the floor like this. That's how much space you would have behind the jump seat. This is how much space you'd have in the jump seat. I'm going to sit. So the interesting bit is your knees go inside this cave. So it's not as uncomfortable as you would think, because there is a space for your knees to go. And the seat does sit rather upright. It feels like you're sitting in wooden chairs, but it's not made of wood. It's like sitting in a regular chair. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. This is one of the biggest shocks this year, is this seat is actually comfortable. And your legs, your knees have somewhere to go. Getting under the hood. It was a two-hand job putting that up there. It's a really heavy hood. It fits right inside this channel. Check out that awesome V12. Look at the steering shaft. Look how it comes all the way down here. It almost runs perpendicular with the engine. It's got a 2-belt system. Look at all that air cleaning. Air cleaner up on top. That's with both sides open. Just look at how impressive this engine is. It's got dual horns up on top, dual air cleaners, one on each side. They're big, huge things too. On the positive side, the ultimate classic era of Pierce Aero smooth performance, an absolute gem of an engine, posh coachwork, super high quality. This car was only made with the finest ingredients. This is what luxury is, and this is what luxury should be, not that plastic crap that they're putting in cars now. Against it, costly, rare parts are hard to find. Trim parts are impossible to find. Information about specifics, especially about the engines, are really hard to find. You need to find an old library to find that information. Mechanically complex. High operating costs. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. Two scenarios today. What would you rather have, a 1936 Rolls-Royce or a 1936 Pierce Aero or a 1936 Packard 12? In the comment section below, what would you rather have? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario. What would you rather have? And cost is not an object. 1931 Peerless Master 8 or 1934 Pierce Aero Silver Aero 12 or 1934 Packard V12 Aero Coupe. All right, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give me both the correct name of the band and song title. First person to do both correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you have a car in your personal collection that you would like me to review for this channel, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook, shoot me an email. All of that will be linked in the description. Just know I appreciate all of the support. And until next time, here's some scenes for our next episode. 1955 Hudson Rambler cross-country wagon. That's what's coming up next on What It's Like. Catch that episode tomorrow, Thursday at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. And until then, toodaloo!